Now, the Norwich North by-election is just 10 days away, and Future Radio have invited each candidate to appear on Community Chest. And today it's the turn of the Libertarian candidate, Thomas Burridge. Morning to you. Nice to see you.
Hello.
And we bumped into each other at the Lord Mayor's procession.
Oh, we did indeed, yes.
Did you take part in the procession at the end?
Not in the procession, no. I was just in the area campaigning for the day.
So how did that go? What were the people you bumped into? What kind of reaction did you get there out there? Do you call it on the hustings? Is that what it's called?
I believe so, yes. Well, once you got past the whole, oh, you're a politician, I don't like you stage, then we got some very positive responses. But, you know, it was getting past that stage that was the issue.
Right. And you were there with one other person? Was that your campaign manager?
I was there with a whole team of people from the Libertarian Party. Actually, I had our media director with me and a few of my friends and other people who just volunteered to help out. Because
there were one or two of the other independent candidates around that.
Yes, there was. Craig Murray, I could hear most of the time shouting things out.
Craig's going to come on to one of the shows, I believe, next week. I think he's talking to Mike Stevens. But it's a kind of a camaraderie between you, or are you all kind of deadly enemies at this point?
I haven't had too much contact with them, but the contact I have had has been very pleasant. I wouldn't see them as enemies, just, I don't know, friendly rivals, shall we say.
Yeah. But that's kind of the way. Now, if I can read this bit out from your campaign leaflet. Libertarians believe in individual liberty, personal responsibility and freedom from government on all issues at all times. We don't say government is too big in one area, but then in another area push for a law to force people to do what we want. We believe in individual liberty, personal responsibility and freedom from government on all issues at all times. So how does that work? Do you actually take away responsibility from the government as such?
Yes, that's the main idea. We want to make sure people can have the choices in their own lives rather than having someone else make them for them, because we don't believe that's necessary. We believe that government should be there to protect people's rights, and all too often it's the thing that's taking people's rights, and we say enough's enough with that.
So is it like civil rights, like too many speed cameras and too many big brother type of people watching you?
Yes, it includes that. So that's what we're more viciously opposed to. It's the almost police state style things that New Labour have been building over the last few years.
And when you tell people this, what kind of reaction do you get?
Most people tend to agree with us on that. I think people are sick of these things infringing on their liberties when there's no conceivable gain to them. It's punishing the innocent rather than the guilty, and that's entirely wrong in my opinion.
But if you were kind of diluting government, would it be a bit too spread out to manage? Because at the moment we have this kind of central government who look after all the affairs, but if it was diluted a little bit too much, would it kind of lose some authority? Well,
the big issues will obviously stay with the central government, and we see the main ones of those is law and order and the military. And of course we'll have other areas that we're involved in, but as much as possible we will devolve to local government, because it's local people who will be affected by those, and they should have the say.
Now, we've been talking now for about 4 minutes, and I hope you're really impressed. So far, I haven't mentioned your age, but the time has come. It must be the bugbear of you, because you're 18 years old, standing
I am indeed, yes,
for a Member of Parliament. So how long does it take people to get beyond that?
Well, actually, most of the people I've talked to haven't seen it as a huge issue, which I'm actually quite pleased about, because I was fairly nervous about how people would react, but most people have reacted quite positively. Once I tell them that it's my generation and the ones after me that are going to pay for all this debt and the mistakes of New Labour, they seem to accept that it's right and fair that someone from this generation should be able to stand up and say, no, enough is enough.
Because if you aren't successful in this election, you're going to be going off to university,
yes,
and so part
correct.
of that, I guess, is you feel that you're going to have a few debts to come back to when you start out in your working life.
Yes, well, being a student does leave you with a rather large amount of debt, which, well, I guess I'll have to deal with that.
Do people, whenever they say, OK, you're 18 and you're standing for Parliament, do people straight away say, oh, William Hague? He was a young guy and he did the speech at the Tory conference.
I've heard one or two references to William Hague, yes, but I think the comparison ends simply with the age. But
do you admire politicians from other parties? Did you admire Ian Gibson, for example?
I think he acted as a good local MP and taking in people's issues locally. I mean, obviously we're quite opposed to New Labour as a party, and what he did with the expenses was totally unacceptable in my opinion, and that sort of thing is just a picture of what's happening across the entire country, and that's just wrong.
How did you get the nomination for the Libertarians? Was there a competition within the party to be the candidate?
There wasn't really a competition. There's a selection process where you fill in forms and give details of yourself, and that's sent to the National Committee, and they say, OK, yes, you can do it, or no, you can't. And obviously, in my case, they said, yes, you can.
It wasn't you against somebody else and you're battling for it?
No, not so much.
So the Libertarians, as a party, how long have you been in existence for?
Since 2007, I believe. We're a very new party, and this is our first outing into an election for a national government, which is quite a big step.
Were you into politics before then? Did you follow perhaps a different party before the Libertarians came along?
I followed the Conservative Party more as a best of evils, I suppose, and well, anything's better than Labour, in my opinion. So if they're going to win, I'd support them over Labour. But the Libertarian Party completely matches my views. So this was just, when I found out, it was great. This is what I believe in. So
if you had to kind of tag on to one of the three parties or any other party, and you had to stand nearest to them, would you be nearer to the Conservatives than to New Labour?
Well, I don't particularly like either of them, but yes, the Conservatives would be preferable over New Labour.
Now, you can ask Thomas a question. Please feel free to. A couple have come in already. This is how to get in touch.
Be part of the future community. Call us on Norwich 455 250 or visit our website, futureradio.co.uk, to find out more, get interactive and get involved.
So we're talking to Thomas Burridge. He's from the Libertarian Party. What was the moments that struck you that thought, yes, I must get into politics and make a change?
Well, after the news reports about the expenses claims, I just thought, well, I was sick of having to turn off the news in disgust. And I thought, no, something's got to be done. And I saw no reason why I couldn't attempt to change things. And so that's what I'm trying to do now.
There's a question actually coming from Tony. He says he's on that subject you mentioned there. He says he's still surprised that MPs need a second home with secure networking. They should be in their constituency all of the time. Would you agree with that?
Well, they can't be in the constituency all of the time. That's impractical, of course. They've got to be in the Commons to vote and to speak and debate. But I think it is appropriate that they do spend a large amount of time in the constituency getting the views from the voters, because they're the people they're supposed to represent. And if they're not in the constituency, they can't do that.
Thanks for your message there, Tony. Any more would be more than welcome. We were talking to our business and techie expert, Paul Folan, before 12 o'clock, and we were talking about web conferencing. And a lot of the MPs have to spend an awful lot of time going from the constituency down to London. And I just wonder whether web conferencing would save some of that time. I guess you wouldn't get the barracking that you get from Prime Minister's Question Time.
Well, I think our political system in terms of debate works very well. I think it's very good that they're right next to each other and they're speaking against each other. I think it encourages a lively atmosphere, which, well, it keeps things interesting, and I think it does foster a better discussion of ideas.
Talking to Thomas Burridge, candidate for the Libertarian Party, with the forthcoming by-election for Norwich North in 10 days. The countdown now. Are you getting much sleep, or is it like a 24-hour job at the moment?
Well, I seem to be constantly on the phone or sending emails to people at the moment, so there's not a lot of time for me to do what I want.
You were talking earlier about scrapping some of the speed cameras, all of the speed cameras. As Steve said, would you get rid of them all, or just some, because they do cut down death rates on the roads?
Well, all of them are kind of unnecessary. I don't think they do have that much of an effect. I mean, they might cut it manually, but it can be dealt with in better ways if you encourage drivers to drive safely. And there are speed limits as they are. I think there is room for them to be raised, because 70 on a motorway, fair enough. I think you can go faster than that and still be safe. I mean, OK, 60 on the main roads, that's good. But there is scope to raise the other speed limits, and when you do that, I don't think you'll need speed cameras so much.